So it's hilarious. The eel's biting a guy, and he's like, "Oh my gosh!"
I love that someone on set was like, you know what? Let's not forget about the eels.
Yeah, we bought them. We might as well attach them to somebody for a good gag here.
It's gonna be the eel puppeteer. Is like, well, what are the eels doing in this scene? They got to be doing something. They're gonna be in the fight. Let's go. So in that scene, that's when she's meeting up with the second map owner, her other uncle. When I was watching that scene, I was thinking it felt odd. I don't know who the actor is who played him, but he didn't seem. No offense to the guy, he didn't seem to be filling the role. I just made a note of it. He just seemed like lesser. And
he seems stationary.
Yeah, but that role was supposed to be Oliver Reed, which made a lot of sense to me. They meant to have somebody more Oliver Reed in this role, and that would have been wonderful. But he got so drunk and mooned Geena Davis on set that they fired him. So
that'll do it. Yeah,
that'll do it. I feel like the film did suffer because of this, but I completely understand their reasoning and don't blame them at all. That's not how you behave in civil society.
I love that story. I remember reading that, just like, geez Louise.
That's Oliver Reed for you. Unprofessional to the dust.
But I don't know. You watch this movie, and Renny Harlin just said that it was like his dream come true, and like you said, you see everything in this movie. There's even a scene where a barrel lands on Modine's head, and they kept it in. Did you see that?
Yes, I did.
Oh my gosh! But the actors are in the explosions.
Nothing wasted. If we're going to spend the most money that anyone has ever spent, we're going to use every single piece of it.
See that
throwing
barrel?
a barrel at
We're
Modine. We're going to do it.
Yeah. Drop that barrel on Modine's head.
That's why Michael Douglas dropped out, because he's going to get hit with a barrel. I'm not doing that. No, sir.
Oh, yeah. Not again. And when they finally get to the cave with the treasure, when they're on the ropes and they're swinging back and forth, I know they probably digitally erased some safety lines, but I'm telling, it's just so nice to see actors hanging off of ropes, and it's just
practical stunt work, practical.
Yeah, and I don't know if you saw 12 Rounds. I love what Renny Harlin did with John Cena, where he had Cena driving all the time, and Cena does most of his own driving in that. It's just fun seeing him in it. So, and he tortured. Cena's afraid of heights, and he tortured Cena on that movie. Watch the behind the scenes stuff.
It's on the schedule. We're gonna get to that soon.
Oh yeah, you and Aaron are talking about it.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think I've seen
soon.
that yet.
Well, you've got a few. If you want to listen to the podcast, you've got at least a few months.
All right.
It's good. It's I don't know. It's just like a good $20 million action film that Renny Harlin pulled out every trick in the book to make it as expansive as possible, and that's fun. It's good.
I can't help but wonder, how much of the budget was those animatronic eels?
Yeah.
He's just preparing for Deep Blue Sea.
They have the shovel. This is a movie with shovel fights, sword fights, eel fights,
cannon fights,
and I love that
the old
line.
Gunpowder trick, gunpowder from a barrel, lighting with a candle.
There's a lot of gunpowder in that gun.
I wonder if MythBusters should have maybe gotten a hold of this movie and done all of it.
Oh, that'd be great. Just a whole season on Cutthroat Island?
Yes. Do eels really do this? Can you really set gunpowder ablaze in a trail with a candle? Can you, all of it? Just.
I love the guy that goes exploding from the bar.
Carriage past explosions.
Oh, just do it. They've done Deep Blue Sea, right?
Yeah, they did the shark explosion. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I love that show, but also these movies. This Cutthroat Island does not take place in this world. This is another world that this takes place in, or just there's a lot of stuntmen doing flips over boats, which I love. I need to count the amount of flips in this movie because there's stuntmen flying every. I love that the gunpowder gag when it does explode, a random guy goes flying in the air.
The old launch a stunt guy.
I want if I worked on this, I got launched on the set of Cutthroat Island, that'd be kind of fun. I don't know, but I keep saying the same thing over and over. But I do think the rear projection scene when they're in the carriage, that does not look very good.
Oh, well,
I guess if I had to, but
in '95, what do you want?
Yeah, it's 26 years ago.
Yeah, that's true. That's the one thing. I've heaped it so full of praise that I wanted to like bring one thing up.
Acknowledge that there's a flaw.
Yeah.
We could talk about flaws. I mean,
Oh, they're there, right?
yeah.
It's just
There's too much slow motion. Is my first one.
Oh,
little too much slow mo.
A little too much slow-mo.
During the carriage chase, when they get separated and Morgan's going through the shop above the kind of archway and Modine's going along the bottom, they put slow motion on that. I think that's to throw off that if they hadn't put slow motion on, she would be running through a building at the same speed as 4 charging horses dragging a carriage, and would be tricky. But
Yes, you do the math on that.
She's very fast. She's very fast.
4 horsepower.
Indeed. But yeah, there's a little too much slow-mo in a film that is quite long. It's almost 2 hours.
Too long.
It's a little too long.
Yeah.
I think I did look up on Wikipedia. This film is listed as being 2 hours and 4 minutes, and my DVD cut in the UK is 1 hour 57.
Oh.
So there's something is missing. I don't know why, how, what happened there. It could be the same thing as like the Temple of Doom we talked about last week with the heart ripping out scene being taken out. If there's some more goriness taken out of this film that I didn't get to watch, I don't know. But
does on your DVD does Dog have a song and dance number?
that must be it. He didn't. I did feel like Langella was like a very. It was a real performance to be missing somewhere. They were referring to that somewhere. Oh. That's a shame.
Yeah, Jeanette, you have it on the
That's
American.
right, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, he sings "A Pirate's Life" for me.
Mm-hmm. And then
Yeah.
there was a lawsuit because you can't sing a Disney song in a non-Disney movie.
Yeah, another lawsuit from this movie. It's a whole thing.
He's
like,
so good in this. I just have to mention that again.
what role is he better in? Masters of the Universe as Skeletor.
Oh,
Just
boy.
dropping bombs on people.
That's a really tough call because Masters of the Universe is a mess, but he is great in it.
He's so good. I love his line. He drops the best lines. It makes me
You
so
know what else
happy.
is in the movie Draft Day.
I've never seen that movie. Is that the Costner one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that
Jennifer
one. either.
Garner.
Yeah. Well, she's barely in it.
What does Langella do in Draft Day?
He plays a commissioner or an owner or a head boss guy of something or other.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, he's
It's
always
an
one of
Ivan
those guys.
Reitman movie, and it's better than it's also like the first time I saw Chadwick Boseman. So if you haven't seen it, it's very well done and certainly very interesting, which is hard to believe about a movie that's about the NFL draft. Also features Dennis Leary as the coach of the Cleveland Browns. So don't sleep
Sold.
on Day.
Sold.
So the only one I can think of is Robot and Frank. But has Langella ever played a good guy? His filmography isn't one I'm overly familiar with. I've never seen Masters of the Universe, for one of them.
Oh,
You
you gotta
see,
watch that.
Dolph Lundgren in a loincloth.
Well, he's bad in Trial of the Chicago 7.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, very much so. He's
You know, I
horrible.
was reading about that judge from that show, and like that's I think the judge might even be worse than like what he played him as. I guess that's a really interesting read. I don't know if you ever read about that movie.
No,
But,
they had to tone him down. People wouldn't believe how terrible he is. Oh dear.
He's in
Trying
Muppets
to
Most
think of-
Wanted.
Is he? Certainly, he's bad in that. I'm
Wall
trying
Street, Money
to-
Never Sleeps.
Because he's
Oh,
very
and he's-
very evil in Frost Nixon.
Plays Perry White in that Superman Returns.
Oh yes,
And
of course.
I'm sorry I mentioned it.
Yeah.
He's in Small Soldiers.
Wait, what?
Mm-hmm.
Wait, he's a good guy in Eddie, right?
Oh, he voices Archer.
yes,
He voices
okay,
the good
yeah.
guy in Small Soldiers. Of course he does.
What about Junior, where Arnold Schwarzenegger has a baby, and he's in Dave. Oh, he's a bad guy in Dave, I think. I'm just going through IMDb looking at Frank Langella.
He's the head of the review board in Junior, which probably
So
means he's a
what
bad
we're saying
guy.
is that he really definitely specializes in villains.
He has a type, and
His
he's
villain
very
role.
good at it.
He murders that guy. Like, we don't have enough food. Well, we're better now. And then and then when that one guy
Need fewer mouths to feed.
Skags.
The absolute, the definition of a guy having a good time at work. Like
Yeah.
he is having a blast in this movie.
Mark, if you go through and do count how many flips, can you count how many throats are cut in Cutthroat Island? Because it is certainly more than one.
Yeah, there's definitely some throat cutting.
And he had his throat cut because you see the scar.
Yeah.
Does that count? Does that happen on screen?
That's true. That's rude. How many throat cuts are in Cutthroat Island?
It's something I wanted to look at.
Movies. This is I'm gonna need to see the Excel chart that lists.
All right. Any excuse to watch this movie again. That sounds wonderful. And also, I love the lines. Like I love when they're walking by the giant lizard on the island, and Geena Davis is like, "Hey, Bowen." She's like, "Yeah, kill that thing. We're gonna eat it for dinner." Like that's just such a random, funny line. I think this movie just has this cheeky lines like that I don't know. I mean, Ebert liked it, but I guess how do you watch? What do you think people hate about this movie so much? Like why? So this was only in the theaters for 3 weeks, and then it got pulled. Like nowadays, like if you watch this movie and hate it, or you feel like you're just too good for it, what is it about this movie to not like? Does that make sense? Like, what are people...
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think maybe some of the writing and some of the lines, we've talked about how it can feel a little forced here and there, and I think that's just because they're just delivering what's there. And honestly, this movie may have even worked better as a silent movie. Like, the words don't matter. It's not necessary. It's a visual action movie. That's a really good question. Like, why hate this? There's so many other things out there you can hate for good reasons.
Absolutely.
Why hate something like this that's delivering a whole lot of action and adventure and not asking anything from you? It's not asking you to commit or be morally changed or invest in any of the characters or even engage with them. It's just there to purely entertain you. So I don't know why people hate it.
I'd assumed that maybe it was a fault in marketing. Because I wasn't sure who this film would be aimed at. Because it's a pirate action adventure film, which you kind of think that's like a family-friendly kids thing. But then there's a human scalp. And there's like rotting skeletons dotted throughout the film being picked at by vultures and things. But
honestly, aren't those some of the same things that are then in the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, and they're
true.
Beloved by everyone young to old?
There's a whole skeleton crew in that.
Exactly. So where did this movie go wrong and that movie go right? Because I think we can agree that movie is a huge success.
Absolutely.
And I will admit, the first one, Curse of the Black Pearl, is beautiful.
Hey, I love the
Top
first
to bottom,
three. So.
Whoa, that's a bold statement.
I like more of those films than most people do.
Yes.
I have a fun video coming out about Jack Sparrow. Just want to give everyone a heads up for film theory. So I've been watching these movies a lot, the Pirates films, and I just want you to know it's about something about dehydration. I think everyone's going to love it.
I will tell you, it took me a minute to go, once I started watching Titans, to be like, why does this dude look so familiar to me? Why do I know this Robin? Yeah. I know this Robin. Why do I know that? Oh, he's from that terrible Pirates movie that I barely remember that had mermaids.
Wait, that's the fourth one, right?
Is it?
Yeah, the fourth one is the one with mermaids. That one is like with, that
Sam
one's
Claflin?
unwatchable.
It is unwatchable, but he's in that, and now he's the best Dick Grayson I've seen since Burt Ward, God bless him.
I like the fifth one with the zombie sharks.
Did I even see the fifth one?
I think no, that's
you wouldn't know
Brendan Thwaites. He's he's in the fifth one with Kea Scolodario Crawl.
That's her.
Yeah, because the fourth one is Sam Claflin and a lady.
Which one is Penelope Cruz?
That's the fourth one as well.
Fourth one.
Yeah.
See, because that one had Ian McShane, and the fifth one had
Javier Bardem.
Yes.
I could come up with Spanish half-face guy. You knew what I meant.
I had a guy from that, yeah. Astrid Burgess Frisbee is the female lead in the female love interest of Sam Claflin in the fourth one.
Yes. Okay. So let's run the numbers on that too, Mark. Well, you're running numbers. Run the numbers on why this one doesn't work, but Curse of the Black Pearl does. Because clearly people are of the general consensus that this does not and that does, and I want to know what the difference is. Because I feel like there's a lot of similarities.
You know what one thing could be is that you had Jack Sparrow in there, but you also had that romance between Bloom and Keira Knightley. And this one, this one doesn't really have a romance per se. I mean,
Okay.
I think Morgan sort of just treats Shaw